Hey YouTube, I'm Stephen Othony, and I'm going to talk about Superman. I'm the million and one person. I'm I'm so many people have talked about this movie, and I'm just going to get lost in the wave of reviews. And I know that, but I promised myself earlier this year that I was going to talk about the movie and what I thought about the movie because I'm a very casual DC fan, and I think it's important to get the opinion of a casual DC fan amongst the many diehard DC fans that have been talking about this movie. So let's just get started, all right? First, non-spoiler. No spoilers here. I'm only going to be talking about like promotional material and a bunch of general points that a lot of people have touched on that I agree with and some that I disagree with. I think Superman 2025 is a good movie. And I went into it knowing that it was going to be a good movie because I've seen scores and reviews online. And so my expectations were pretty high, and that might have maybe tarnished my end opinion on this movie a little bit because it's not like mind-blowing best thing I've ever seen. Of course not. It's fine. It's a good movie. Like it's got a nice story. The characters are amazing. I will say every single actor played their role beautifully. I don't think there was any bad choices for actors. I don't think any actors did bad generally. I think everybody in the acting department did freaking fantastic. I'm so happy with how that came out. Oh my god, the CGI, beautiful, amazing. What else can I get into that isn't spoilery? Hold on a second. I think the plot is fine. Um, I really like how the plot played out. I have favorite characters. I have least favorite characters. I'm going to talk about a lot of that. I have favorite plot points. I have least favorite plot points. Least. I'm going to get into some spoilers here soon. Overall, I liked the movie. I think I would probably give it like high B, low A if I was going to rank this on like a tier list. High B, low A, like a 7 out of 10. Like, it's a fine movie. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of my thoughts. I'm going to be getting into a lot of spoilers, so let's dive into it. I'm going to start with things that I didn't like about the movie because whenever I like talking about things, I like to start with the bad and then go into the good because then it's a soft landing. So, here's what I disliked about the movie. There's three characters that I think were done not poorly. Two that I think were done poorly. One just had some flaws. As, of course, a casual DC fan, Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner, and Mr. Terrific are all characters that I didn't know much about going into this film, and I was excited to learn as much as I could about these characters. I learned a ton about Mr. Terrific. He's like the main guy of the three. I learned a ton about Guy Gardner. I went into this movie knowing nothing about Hawkgirl. I came out of this movie knowing nothing about Hawkgirl except she screams really loudly. She has a cool weapon, and she's a killer. I mean, the person she killed was not a good person, but that's a line she crosses, and that's something I learned about the character. And her killing that person is about all she does in the movie. And if she wasn't in the movie, that's about the only thing that would change. Is the what was it, the president of Moravia wouldn't have been killed, but he probably would have been like something else would have happened to him to stop him. Yeah, I think I was really excited to learn about Hawkgirl because I really don't like Hawkman and Hawkgirl are two characters that I don't know a lot about, and I was really hoping to learn more about them. But her character is not touched on like once, and we know absolutely nothing about her going in. Well, unless you know about her, I don't know, dude. I'm tired. It's been a few days, so give me a sec. I just wish that was a character that got fleshed out a little bit more in the film. Um, and I hear she's gonna be in the Peacemaker series, which I'm excited about, and I'm hoping that it's not just a cameo in that TV show, and that we see her a little bit more and get to know her a little bit more. Because boy, oh boy, I did not care about her throughout the movie, and it's not even like her personality. Her personality was fine. The actress did a pretty good job playing her, but like the character itself is it's I don't care. Like she could die in the Peacemaker TV show and it'd be like, oh no, no shade to Hawk Girl. Like I'd like maybe if the character was fleshed out a little bit better, I'd have a little bit more care. Another character that I have slight problems with, and I don't even remember why. Well, for some reason I put Lex Luthor under this list, and I really wish I had elaborated on why why I put Lex Luthor on the list. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Oh yeah. Okay. Here's why I put Lex Luthor on the list. Okay, so another character that I don't really dislike the character. I just dislike this part about the character. So there's a scene where Superman is trapped in the like mirror dimension, not a mirror dimension, like a pocket universe. That's it, a pocket universe that Lex Luthor created with Metamorpho there. And Metamorpho, I guess, isn't a bad guy, but he's only turning himself into kryptonite because Lex Luthor said so, and is like, all right, I got this dude over there who's got this baby, and if you do any funny business, that man's gonna kill the baby. And Lex Luthor made this big point, like, don't do anything bad. If you do, I will know about it, and then bad things will happen to you. And I'm not even kidding. There's like a 20 to 30 minute, maybe 20-minute sequence of Superman and Metamorpho escaping the pocket universe. Lex Luthor does nothing. The person with the baby does absolutely nothing to the baby. Like the whole sun business happens. Okay, here's the sun business. So Metamorpho takes away the kryptonite, and then Superman's like, "Bro, I need some sun so I can heal from that kryptonite." And then Metamorpho like, "Bet," and then creates a mini sun. And then Superman's like, "All right." And he heals from that, and then he flies over to the dude with the baby, and the dude with the baby's like, "Whoa, don't come any closer." Like, okay, I'm really trying to remember. It's been like a week since I've seen the movie. And then the dude with the baby's like, "Whoa," and then Superman's like, "I'll be taking that," and then he takes the baby. No problem. Lady split, done. And then, I'm like, all of this happens, and then they get out of the pocket universe, and then Lex Luthor just, I can't believe they got out. What the heck? Like, what'd you do, bro? Maybe it was all bluffs, but like, how can somebody who literally shot the food vendor right in front of Superman, like in the head? By the way, he shoots a food vendor that Superman just like chats with in the head, and then is like bluffing this whole time. I don't know. Maybe I misread the scene, but like I thought that was real goofy, and yeah, I just decided to include that in the characters thing. And then, oh boy, Clark Joseph Kent. This character of Superman is divided into three parts. We got Superman, you got Clark Kent, and then you got the guy who isn't putting on the glasses or the cape, who's like in between the two, talking with when he's alone with Lois or when he's alone with his family. He's his real self. Superman, freaking fantastic. The dude in between, amazing. What are we doing with Clark Kent, bro? I was so mad about so many parts regarding Clark Kent, including, but not limited to, but mostly, his hypno glasses. Oh my god. Mr. James Gunn. Mr. Gunn, sir. You made a Clark Kent that is the furthest away from looking like Superman out of every Superman and Clark Kent I've ever seen. Out of every Clark Kent I've seen, they just look like Superman with glasses. I can't think of a Clark Kent that doesn't just look like Superman with glasses, except for this one. He doesn't look anything like Superman, and this is the one Superman that I know of. All right, I haven't seen a lot of Superman iterations, I'll be honest with you. This is the one Superman that you gave hypno glasses to. You actually included the hypno glasses, and the whole like thing about Superman is he just puts on glasses, and then people like, the whole point is that nobody's going to expect it if they're not looking for it. And that is a great part about Superman, that even like okay, I haven't seen the original Superman movies, and I'm sorry about that. I will see them eventually, I promise you. But one thing I know is that Lois figures out he's Superman on her own, because she's the only character who actually like takes a second and is willing to see what a lot of people aren't willing to see, and that's that Clark Kent is Superman. And that's an amazing plot line and storyline, whatever. First of all, we don't even know how Lois and Clark meet. Like, we do, but like, we don't know how they got together, and then how Clark was able to trust her with his secret identity. And now he's got the hypno glasses, and then for some reason, when poop's hitting the fan at the Daily Planet, and there's so much going on with Superman in this movie. Like, this movie, a lot happens with Superman in like a weekend, right? So much is going on with Superman. But Clark Joseph Kent, the one employee at the Daily Planet who has had the most interviews with Superman, is missing, and nobody could give less of a crap. Like he's gone. Of course he's Superman, so like there's a reason why he's gone. But Lois doesn't question it, which now that's like a well, like of course she wouldn't question it, blah 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 blah. But she like, okay, let me explain something that happened early on in the movie. We see Clark Kent in the Daily Planet, and when Clark Kent's like, "Oh yeah, I got another interview with Superman," blah 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 blah, Lois makes a face, which is like making the audience think that she's figuring out that Clark Kent is Superman, but she already knows. So why is she making that face when nobody notices the face? Why is she putting on that face to act like she doesn't know who Superman is and that she's figuring it out when nobody's looking at her? But also, if maybe she's just willing to act like that, just to drive home the idea that Clark isn't Superman. If she's willing to act like that, why doesn't she care that Clark isn't at the Daily Planet? Why doesn't Jimmy care? Why doesn't Perry White care? Nobody cares that Clark Kent isn't there when, hey, maybe he's just a low employee. No, he's not. He gets interviews with Superman. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just talking as an outsider here. Of course, like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, Clark Kent is not good in this movie. That's like my one of if not my biggest complaint is that Clark Kent is just wrong in so many ways. I mean, he looks fine. He acts no different. But I think that's just like the character. Like the overall character doesn't seem like he would be good at separating work Kent with Superman. Like, you know what I mean? So I like that kind of fits the character, him not being able to act differently well enough. But that other stuff is just too much for me. Now, this is a sci-fi movie. I don't want to be that guy, but the black hole kind of upset me because it wasn't strong enough, and I feel like a black hole like that, the whole pocket universe, because like it's all like real close to this black hole. Everything in that little pocket universe is vaporized instantly by that black hole, but it's not in the movie, of course, because of course Crypto and Metamorpho and Superman all need to get out alive. So why would the black hole kill everything in there? And yeah, yeah, the black hole was not done well. It does not suck like it should. Black hole should suck harder, but the black hole kind of sucked. Okay, I'm gonna lose a lot of subscribers for that one. The parents' message, something that bothered me when if it was outed that the parents wanted Superman to create like this harem or whatever and like are bad people. I'm okay with the parents being bad people, but don't make the switch in the message so freaking instant. Because they're talking about like, oh, we want you to do good for this planet. I don't remember the message off the dome. Like I said, it's been a week, but they're talking about like, yes, Superman, you're gonna do great here. You're gonna thrive. You're gonna do excellent. You're gonna do good things. But we want you to make a harem and take over the world. And suddenly, this is like a Viltrumite situation. Like, dude, it's just such a switch up. It's such a fast switch up that I couldn't believe it. Like, even when Mr. Terrific said, "Yeah, man, we got the best translators on the planet," and they approve of the translations um, that have gone out into the world. Even when Mr. Terrific said that, I'm like, "There's no way. I don't believe it." Like, I want to speak with the translators. First of all, find find out why they know so much Kryptonian language, so much about the Kryptonian language. Secondly, like, did you hear the first half of the message? Like, goodness. And then Lex is like, yeah, I mean, they said it. I didn't have to do anything. Which, like, I don't think Lex did anything. I really believed that. I think there was some tweaking with that message. There had to be. There had to be. There's no way. And then, of course, it got cut off right at the bad part. Like, as soon as the bad part started. So Superman didn't hear that part for, like, 30 years. Which, like, yeah. I don't like how, and I don't know how, the crack in the earth that was splitting Metropolis in half just closed. Maybe there's a line or something that explained it that I didn't catch, but it just closed. Like Mr. Terrific was like, "All right, this pocket universe is a bad idea," and then you find out it's a bad idea, and it starts splitting Metropolis in half. And then Mr. Terrific's like, all right, or what? Who? I don't remember who closed. I think Mr. Terrific closed it, and then yeah, it just closes. I don't know how. I thought it was just like something that was happening, and then the Earth was gonna get split in half. I think maybe you could stop it, like stop the crack from growing, but I didn't. I couldn't understand how it closed. Maybe I missed something, but yeah. And I saw, this is my last complaint, I promise you. I saw a lot of promo and reviews say that this sets up so much for the DCU. And I don't think it sets up enough. Like, it sets up Supergirl nicely. We get the Supergirl cameo at the end, sets it up great. And sets up that movie great. But I wanted like a little throwaway line from Superman, like watching the Justice Gang. He's like, you know what? Maybe I want my own team. I was really expecting something like that, and we just didn't get that, which is fine. But I also heard that it was gonna set up Peacemaker, and it didn't. Like if you maybe if Flag was like Rick Flag, who's in the movie, was like saying something about going after Peacemaker or whatever. Like make the okay. If you could go back in time real quick, take the Peacemaker cameo, which is in the movie. Peacemaker's on the TV, and then throw Rick Flag watching that interview with Peacemaker on the TV, and be like, "Frick that guy" or whatever. Like, get mad at Peacemaker. Like that would have been awesome just to see like a little bit of Rick Flag's anger towards Peacemaker. That would have been great. And then of course the Superman line. I think it would have been cheesy, but I would have been all for it because that would have like been awesome. Unless he has already plans maybe to turn the Justice Gang into the Justice League or like whatever. But I hope he doesn't do that. I kind of hope they stay two separate things when the Justice League inevitably gets created. But yeah. Another thing about this movie that at first I didn't like, but after sitting on it, I've learned to like. So this is like kind of an in between talking point. There is no break in this movie. Not even at the start. We're in it. At the end, like towards the end, we're in it. Like even when he's back in Kansas, right, with his family, and there's like a nice down moment. It would then cut to some other stuff that's going on. It's like, oh my god, super fast paced and whatnot. I don't remember exactly what, dude. It's been a week. I should have made this video way sooner. Goodness. At first, I was like, okay, well, there's too much going on in this movie. Back up. But then I started to think about how Mini Point, the camera work is spectacular. It feels like every single frame could have been ripped directly from a comic book. Like it wasn't, but it could have been. You know what I mean? Like camera location, camera movement, the framing of characters and action was just spectacular and really fit the comic book feel. And if you remember that point, then it's way easier to digest the fact that there's so much going on in such little time because that's how comic books work, at least in my experience. Like that's my experience with comic books right there, everything back there. With my experience, that's what happens. There's not much of a break in comic books. It's usually bam, bam, bam because they have to do so much in so few pages when they make comic books and issues and whatnot. And that's the exact feel James Gunn was going for, and he nailed it. I think he nailed it. I think he did great with this movie. That said, let's get to characters I enjoyed, because I already spoke on characters I didn't like. Scenes that I enjoyed. Big one, the Pa Kent scene, which everybody loved. I never cried. I heard that somebody cried, but I didn't end up crying. Maybe I'm heartless. I don't know. I teared up though. I will admit I teared up, but I'm not one to cry during movies. That was a great scene. What else? The scene I talked about it already, but the part where Lex Luthor plays Russian roulette with that food vendor, absolutely like every part about that scene was great. Yeah, wow. Lex Luthor's reaction to actually shooting the guy, everybody else's reaction to him actually shooting the guy in the freaking head was just it was such a spectacular scene. And the overall fight between Superman and Ultraman, not in the baseball stadium, but after Superman finds out that it's his clone, that was such a great fight scene. Really every fight scene, the kaiju scene was so amazing because the problem with superheroes and like a kaiju like that, there's gonna be so much collateral damage, and Superman did such an amazing job ensuring that there was as little as possible. Like the kaiju would go brah and then shoot fire everywhere, and then he would block the fire, and then the kaiju would like trip and stumble, and he'd fall back, and then he'd catch the kaiju so he doesn't hit any buildings or whatnot, and then, well, after the kaiju spits some fire at a building, he'll be like, "Is everyone okay?" And then they'll say, "Yeah," and then he'll be like, "All right, great." And then he saved the squirrel, he saved the dog, he saved literally everybody, like except for the kaiju, which like that was the kaiju dying was a great way to show everybody's morals when it comes to superheroing. Like the Justice Gang doesn't care about the villain dying, as we saw with Hawk Girl and the President, Mr. Terrific and the kaiju, and Superman with the kaiju having remorse for it. Like he was gonna lock it up anyway and like study it or whatnot, but he still wanted the creature to live because, in Superman's heart of hearts, he can't see a creature die, and that was just such great characterization for everybody in that scene, and I think that was just done so well. My favorite character in the whole movie, a lot of people have been saying Lex Luthor, who did great. A lot of people have been saying Superman. A lot of people have been saying Krypto. Lois Lane. Great choices. I choose Metamorpho. Metamorpho was my favorite character in the whole movie. Metamorpho's emotions when keeping Superman captive was fantastic. Beyond that, Metamorpho doing every single thing that he can for this baby was just incredible. Metamorpho's sense of humor, locking with Guy Gardner's sense of humor, was spectacular. I don't even know if that was sense of humor. I think he just genuinely liked the name Justice Gang. Like, I'm talking about that little joke at the end where he's like, "Hey, can I join your team?" And then Guy Gardner's like, "I don't know, probably not." And then he's like, "Ah, what's the team called?" And then Hawk Girl or somebody says Justice Gang. He's like, "That's a great name." And Guy Gardner's like, "You're in." I don't know if that was like humor, but I just love like I knew nothing about Metamorpho going into this, and I love his power. I don't know his origin story or anything. That's another okay. I'm gonna jump back a little bit. I don't like how there's no origin story, whatnot. If I didn't know Superman's origin story, I still wouldn't entirely because his origin story is literally a throwaway line that Superman says, "My planet blew up, my parents are dead, whatnot." You learn not much about Superman. So this is definitely a movie for people who already know about a lot about the DC universe or like enough. Um, Boxing that up and continuing to talk about Metamorpho, I love his power. His power is fantastic. How he uses his power. I love his knowledge because you have to have like you have to know a lot about elements and stuff like that to be able to make the sun, which he does for Superman. Um, I just love his intelligence and his heart. I think he was just he. A lot of people were saying Mr. Terrific stole the show, which he did, but beyond him, I think Metamorpho was my favorite character in the whole film. That was just every time he was on screen, I was smiling ear to ear. I just love that character so much. And yeah, one last thing I wanted to talk about. I feel like I talked more about the negatives than the positives, but that's just because the positives are just so generally good, including what I'm about to talk about, which is the soundtrack. Oh my God, who made the soundtrack? Oh my God, I don't remember his name. David Fleming and John Murphy. Absolute amazing work from them for the soundtrack. And oh my God, every single piece of music fit exactly where it needed to. And the mixing was done well. The volume levels were great. Everything blended where it was supposed to. It blended together. Just amazing sound work overall. But yeah, I nitpicked with bad things, and I didn't really talk about positive things that much. But that's just because the positives were generally good. Like the soundtrack was generally good. The characters were generally good. Lex Luthor was fantastic, um, other than what I already mentioned, and Lois Lane. Okay, let me glaze Lois Lane for a second because one big problem that I had with Zack Snyder's version of the DC universe is Lois Lane really sucked. Nothing against Amy Adams, who plays Lois Lane. Absolutely nothing. She did what she was told to do. But that was a character who was written so poorly across all the movies that she was in. I hated every moment that she was on screen because she was an absolute dummy. But yeah, Rachel Brosnahan absolutely. Okay, sorry. Both actresses did good playing the role they were given, Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane was written spectacularly. She stood on business. She was a great actress. She's a great journalist. And all in all, she was just a brave human being. And I think that everything that that version of Lois Lane did in every part of her was created spectacularly, and it was a nice contrast to what I'm used to for Lois Lane. Other than that, yeah, Lex Luthor was great. Superman was great for 2 out of the 3 of his personalities. Crypto was amazing. Oh my goodness, I loved the 2 cameos that I've already mentioned. I loved the soundtrack. I loved Ultraman. Okay, I liked Ultraman, and then the kaiju was great. One thing that I was worried about going into this movie was it was going to be like an anthology movie. Like Superman would do something over here and then do something over here and then do something over here and they wouldn't be connected. I think they connected surprisingly well. I was worried that they wouldn't, and I really didn't have faith that it would connect smoothly because he fights in the trailer. Because all I really see is he fights a kaiju, he fights Ultraman, and Lex Luthor's in it. I thought that those were going to be like 3 completely separate storylines, but no. Lex Luthor is the puppet master for everything bad that ever happens to Superman in this movie. Like literally everything. So I think this was just an amazing story. I think it connects really well. But beyond all of that, I think that is all I have for talking points for this movie. This was a great movie. I assume you've already seen it. I've gone into a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, I've probably ruined a lot for you. But still, you should go see it because it's a nice thing to experience, and a really great, besides Creature Commandos, really great opener to the DCU. I think Creature Commandos did better introducing us to the overarching DCU. Oh my God, I forgot one talking point that I was so excited to talk about. Okay, so in the Pocket Universe, Lex Luthor has a bunch of monkeys hooked up to these like they're he makes them smart, and he makes them write bad reviews online for Superman. And with the monkey's brains hooked up to this machine or whatever, it reminded me of one thing. Now give me a second. I'm not saying he stole from Jeff Lemire, I don't remember how to say his last name, I'm sorry for butchering it, but it reminded me of these monkeys that get studied in the Absolute Flash universe, or in the Absolute Flash story, which I've been reading. It reminded me of those, and that just got me thinking of, okay, so one big cameo that's in the Creature Commandos TV series is Grodd, and that is when oh my goodness, what's her name? That's when Cersei is showing Amanda Waller the future, and I think nobody really touched on the fact that Grodd is seen in the future in the flash forward, which like yeah, but that could insinuate that Grodd isn't a big gorilla yet. And what I was thinking is that all these monkeys that Lex was pumping with knowledge and having write bad reviews against Superman become members of Gorilla City. One of those monkeys or primates or whatever grows up to become Grodd because they looked. I mean, I'm no expert on what a baby gorilla looks like, but they didn't look much different. Oh my God, the lighting. They didn't look much different from this little guy right here who is Grodd. So that okay. I'm not saying that the movie was stolen from this. These are completely separate projects, but I'm thinking that those little guys who are writing Superman hate mail are going to be part of Gorilla City someday, and I'm really excited about that because that means we get the Flash in the DCU. Which, speaking of, oh my gosh, I don't know if you could tell. I have a bunch of that's an all-in comic, okay? That's like the one non-Flash comic that I have. I'm a big Flash guy. I like the Flash. I've been reading a lot of Flash comics. I really got to read some of the old like actual like Golden and Silver Age Flash comics. I have the very first appearance of Barry Allen right there. That's not the comic. That's just something that I have hanging above my bed. And I happen to be a writer, going to school for writing, and soon I'm going to be taking a couple of courses on screenwriting. And if James Gunn ever ends up watching this, I want him to know that I'm interested in someday writing a Flash movie or TV show or whatever he wants me to do with the character, or anybody to do with the character. I really don't know what he has planned for it already. He might even already have a writer locked in for the future of the character, but I just really think that the Flash is a cash grab, especially if it's done right, then it's going to make a lot of money because Flash fans have been dying for a live action adaptation of Barry Allen or even Wally West or even Jay Garrick that is written consistently and well, because the Barry Allen in the Flash movie in the DCEU was terrible. Absolutely nothing like the Barry Allen that everybody knows and loves in the comics. And also just a poorly written character in general. Like I didn't like the everybody who's a Flash fan did not like Ezra Miller's adaptation, unless you did, I don't know. But one adaptation who is widely beloved is Grant Gustin, the TV show. Written mostly poorly, but I think Grant Gustin did an absolutely amazing job as Barry Allen and the Flash. I think, yeah, he that's like the closest thing we have to a really good adaptation of the Flash. And I haven't seen John Wesley Shipp's version back in the '90s, but that often gets praised as well. Like I don't think many people have a lot of bad to say about it, especially since it was made in the '90s. Like as somebody who has already written a lot of not written, read a lot of Flash comics and is really passionate about this character and wants to see it done right and well on the big screen, I will do literally whatever it takes. I'm already learning how to screenwrite. I'm going to be interested in writing movies, my own movies someday. By the time I will have learned to screenwrite, it'll probably be time to write a good story for The Flash. So, keep me on your mind because I will read everything. I will read literally every single Flash comic that has ever been made. I will study. I will do literally whatever it takes to please any Flash fan who wants a really good adaptation of Barry Allen, Wally West, or Jay Garrick in this DC universe. I want to, I don't know, like very very low chance. But as an aspiring screenwriter, as a Flash fan, as somebody really interested in this DC universe, um, D- DC Cinematic Universe. That's what it stands for, DCU. I want, please, please, I'll do literally anything to even have like an input, like the slightest idea for the character thrown into a movie because of me would be an absolute dream come true. I already have so many ideas. How to start, drive forward, and end the story of Barry Allen, specifically Barry Allen. I'm learning about Wally West in a different universe right now. I've been reading the Absolute Flash comics. I have all 5 of them that are out right now. And Wally West seems fine in that. I don't know much about him in the mainline universe, but I know so much about Barry Allen. Literally so much. And when I heard that James Gunn wanted to start off with Wally West's story, I was so heartbroken because there's so much that goes into Barry Allen's version of the Flash that you need to touch on first before you can get into Wally West's version. Because as far as I'm concerned, before Wally West becomes the Flash, Barry Allen needs to die. And he's just one of my favorite characters of all time. I would hate to see the Flash's story start off. I have a tickle in my throat. Sorry. I would hate to see a Flash story start off with Barry Allen dying when there's so much history with Barry Allen, including a Reverse Flash, which, oh my god, an on-screen conflict between Barry Allen and the Reverse Flash would be sick. I've already mentioned my theory on Grodd, and there's so much I would do about the Flash. I saw somebody say Grant Gustin coming back as Jay Garrick would be amazing, and I agree. I would write that. I would. Oh, there's so much I would do with the character. But I don't want to say everything I would do because if I say too much, yeah, I don't want to say too much. But there's so much I would do. I'm so passionate about this character. But that's just my pitch. My public pitch. I've gone so far away from Superman right now. It's crazy. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoy the review. I'm gonna be. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this casual DC fans review. Like, I'm not a diehard DC fan. I'll never claim that I am. But dude, what is wrong with my voice today? Gosh darn. But I just think it was. I just think this was a nice perspective to give on the movie, amidst the many diehard DC fans who either love or hate the movie. I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, that's my take. That's my opinion. I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.